We are being recorded. If you want a copy of this recording, ask George. He will have it for you. So, and stop shaking your head at me, Claire. You know, that's not a good thing. You're going to get dizzy. So I just want to welcome everyone to the call. You know, we're seeing the numbers rise right now of the attendance, and I appreciate all you guys taking the time to be on this call today. I have a few things that I want to share with you that's going to give you some good insight, good direction, and some good motivation moving forward. You know, sometimes we procrastinate. Who's a procrastinator? Yeah, you know, and procrastination, it creates anxiety. Procrastination creates frustration. Procrastination creates all kinds of frustrations in our life. Um, you know, it's kind of like I use this analogy. It's kind of like the spot on your arm, you know, being as light skinned as I am, and light eyes and light hair and blonde hair. You know, if the dermatologist says, hey, that's a bad spot, we got to cut that out. And I say, eventually it's going to go away, and it just gets bigger and bigger. It's worse and worse, right? Procrastination. And that's what we do to ourselves. And I'm 100% guilty. But here's the thing, we cannot procrastinate anymore in our industry, in our business. We got to kind of latch on and buckle up and start persevering. So I'm going to kind of start off. Hey, Bill, what's happening, bud? I'm going to start off with the morning reading, because I was looking for this quote, and it popped up in this morning's reading. I'm like, where did I see that quote? Where did I see that? And it's all about encouragement is oxygen to the soul. Encouragement is oxygen to the soul. So I do a lot of these readings on our calls because this is how I get my day started, and this is what really kind of puts me into the right direction of releasing that procrastination and getting stuff done. Compliments affirm people. To affirm is to make firm. An affirmation is a statement of truth you make firm in a person's heart when you utter it. As a result, it cultivates conviction. For example, when you compliment a person's attitude, you reinforce it and make it more consistent. Because you notice, because you notice it in a positive way, he will be more likely to demonstrate that same attitude again. Likewise, when you affirm people's dreams, you help their dreams become more real than their doubts. Like the repetition of a weightlifting regimen, routine compliments build up people's qualities and strengthens their personalities. There are high spots in all of our lives. George Matthew, there are high spots in all of our lives. And the most of them have come about through encouragement from someone else. I don't care how great, how famous or successful a man or woman may be, each hungers for applause. Encouragement is oxygen to the soul. Good work can never be expected from a worker without encouragement. No one can ever have lived without it. Affirm and encourage your followers today. And this is kind of come into what we're going to talk about today as well. So encouragement in what we need to do, encouragement in what the market's doing, encouragement with the people we're around, encouragement with our other fellow realtors, even our competitors, whoever's on this call that is not with EXP. I encourage you guys to take this and run with it and do better for your business. The procrastination of not doing this is going to cost you money. The procrastination of not doing this is going to cost you frustration, and it's going to cost you time. It's going to cost all of us time, because you're going to be gravitating to us to do your work and put your frustration on all of us because you didn't want to prepare. See, your lack of preparation is not my problem. Your lack of procrastination, I mean, your procrastination is not my issue. right? And I say that probably kind of bluntly, but think about this. It's like our kids. You got to do all these things in order for this to work. And you can't wait to the last minute. Hey, Dad, I need cleats. My game's tomorrow morning. What do you mean you need cleats? Hey, Dad, I need a new mouthpiece. I don't have one. Well, you're playing without a mouthpiece. Hey, you know, all these different things. Hey, Dad, I need my cap and gown for graduation tomorrow morning. I didn't order it. Well, you're going without a cap and gown, I guess, or you're going to borrow one. See, that's the thing is our procrastination. We always want to make it someone else's issue. But if you do all the right things and prepare yourself, you'll get through that. And that's what we're here for. So today, I want to, oh, my wife's got my phone. Today, I wanted to talk about 3 items of value. This is probably something that you probably heard before. Guess what? Consistency in what we talk about, consistency in what we do, create the massive results. Okay. You're all going to have access to this today. And I promise you, if you just utilize it, it's going to make a massive difference for you. But also, it's going to prevent you from procrastinating because it's going to give you a framework to prepare. And here's what I'm talking about is whether you're working with a buyer or whether you're working with a seller, you have to be prepared to be knowledgeable in what you're saying regarding NAR. I know this has been a consistent conversation going out. How many weeks do we have till July? Does anybody really know? 6 weeks? 5.5 weeks? 5.5 weeks. Who has actually, out of the 35 people we have on the call, who has actually prepared everything that they need to do? Rich, there you go. And that makes a lot of sense because we've been talking about this for what, 2 or 3 months now consistently, right? Who else? Anyone else fully prepared for what to say, how to say it, buyer's agreements, single property buyer agreement? Who's prepared? Okay. Honestly, get started immediately. All right. So I'm gonna kind of go into an order here for you guys, and then I'm gonna pull these forms up for you. And again, I'm gonna put them into the chat so you can download them. They're not gonna be anything that you have to do screenshots of. I will send everything to you. Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks for that, Matt. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of agents calling me and wanting to attend our meetings and everything else, and that are with other brokerages because they're still getting no answers from their broker, their leader, no one. They're trying to find everything on Inman, and they don't have a subscription to Inman, and then they go to the board of realtors, and the board of realtors don't even know what the heck's going on. It's crazy. So 3-step process: listing presentation, buyer presentation, and then your buyer's agreement. You have to be prepared to do all 3 of those for a seller. And I sat with an agent the other day. She took a listing for $1.7 million with 0 buyer's commission. And I said to her, did you explain to the seller the marketing disadvantage they have? She goes, what are you talking about? The seller doesn't have to pay the commission anymore. I said, have you heard about an opportunity for concessions to the? I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, so can I get the address of that listing so when it expires, I can call it because it's probably not going to sell because there's not going to be anybody showing it. She goes, well, that's kind of rude. I said, no, that's what's going to happen. So guys, here's the other thing. Sharpen your skill set on expired listings because we're going to be entering into a market where sellers are not going to get their home sold, not because of price, not because of having a nice looking home, because of the lack of education that the listing agent is bringing to the table, the lack of knowledge the listing agent is bringing to the table, the lack of ignorance that they are bringing to the table. See, ignorance creates fear. Lack of preparation creates fear and the unknown. right? And these are all things that Bill Pipes talked about. And I mean, I freaking have 2 pages of notes in 30 minutes from the guy that is just embedded in my head. So when we're meeting with a seller, why do we got to do a buyer's presentation? Because they're going to be a buyer. Why do we need to do the buyer presentation for the seller? Because they need to understand the process for another agent to bring a buyer to see their home. If you totally ignore that, you're missing the opportunity to best represent your seller. Let them make the best informed decision possible for their home to be sold. It is not your money, it is theirs. And the other thing too is if they have no knowledge and education towards it and you're not delivering the value and the message properly, they'll never understand the process. So that is what you need to do. And by the way, do not have any fear of charging whatever you feel is your value. And here's why. I've talked to many attorneys who go, that's outrageous. I would never pay that. I said, I understand. That's why I've never hired you to represent me, because you charge 40%. Actually, I never said that, but I heard Rich say that on a call last week, right? So really, who's the one who's taking advantage of anyone? But are they taking advantage, or are they giving us enough value for us to hire them? That's the thing. I don't mind paying anybody 30, 40% on anything if they're delivering enough value. So don't underestimate your true value. Value is not going to be there for you if you're not confident in what you're saying. Value is going to be an issue if you're not prepared. Value is going to be an issue if you don't know what the heck to say. So here's a common thing that a seller and a buyer always say is, why should I pay you when you guys all do the same thing? I can find someone else who does it for less. And my response to that is, if you go to mikeferry.com, the commission objection handling is going to be the same no matter what, guys. If you're going to look at someone who's going to do it for less, you may be putting yourself in harm, because if they're doing it for less, do they really care about your finances, your money? There you go. There it is. There's a lot of people that'll do it less for less. Let me give you their name and number. They work full time and they're not available during the weekends, and you may not be able to get them at all. Maybe by a text message or call. By the way, they've been in the business 20 years and they sold about 3 homes. I don't know, and I'm not discouraging our newer agents. Please understand that, because you have a team of an environment of people that's going to help you. All right, so I'm going to dig into uh, all of our value proposition here. So this is going to be some pretty awesome stuff. You don't have to take screenshots. I'm going to put it all into the chat for you guys, okay? And Claire, I think you have them all, right? All these documents. When you see them, I think you have them all. If you want to throw them up there, you can. So, all right. I'm going to start off with this. Okay. Can you guys see that? All right. So I've seen a lot of stuff through NAR. I've seen a lot of stuff through Inman. I've seen a lot of stuff through the Board of Realtors. But I will tell you, I love what Coach Pipes has put together, because he simplified everything with the same value of message. There's 41 things an agent does to assist you. Prepare the buyer for executing a buyer representation agreement. Explain agency relationship to the buyer and get state required legal consent to represent if needed. Now, some states you can't represent the buyer and the seller. Okay. Some states you can. Okay. They call that dual agency. So here's the thing, guys. Learn the buyer's wants and the non-negotiable needs. Understand the buyer's budget and what will be needed financially. If you start looking at what your 41 things an agent does to assist, and when you sit down with your seller and you go, hey, I just want to show you 41 things a buyer's agent does to assist their buyer when looking for a home. Holy cow, they got to do all that? Oh yeah, they sure do. They sure do. And by the way, here's how we can put a marketing cost aside to pay the other brokerage as a concession. Okay, so we're going to have a lot more conversations on what those concessions are. And by the way, I don't believe FHA and VA will be an issue with getting over the 6%, 3% concessions anymore towards the buyer's commission. So consider having the buyer fill out a home buyer's checklist. So you're gonna go through these 41 things, and then you're gonna better prepare how you're going to do your presentations. Okay, you're going to better prepare your sellers on what to expect and what a buyer's agent really does versus going, oh, well, we're not paying a buyer's agent. I'll completely understand. Well, let me just go through that process with you. Okay. So you're going to have all these documents. And here's what I would do. You can put this into a Word document. You can transfer it from a PDF to a Word document, and then you can actually put it into your presentations. Okay. So I would highly recommend that you look at doing something like that there. So, all right, I'm going to go into the next couple here.
Tom, real quick, I just dropped those 41 things in the chat, so it is available for anybody in the chat.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, and then the next one I'm going to go into is such a critical one because I think hold on a second. I messed up. Sorry, guys. I usually don't mess up. All right, George. All right. Which one can you see?
NAR.
You see NAR? I don't.
Explaining the NAR changes to a buyer.
All right, I got you. It's a user error, right? Issue. All right, so here's the thing, guys. If you want more conversations about real estate in the next 6 weeks, if you want to have an amazing amount of real estate conversations, here's what I recommend. And this is from Coach Pipes. This is from some of the top coaches in the industries. This is from top teams. This Kendall Bonner, amazing lady, an attorney in Tampa, also a realtor, runs a big team. She's very involved with NAR and the legal side of things, and also running a massive team in Tampa. One of the things that she said she's doing with her entire team that is a requirement is that her agents go into their database and send a text message to everyone in their database stating, hey, I know you're hearing this. Are you interested in buying or selling and wanting to know more about this? So explaining the NAR changes to a buyer, but also not just the buyer, you got to help the seller understand these changes. And she also said it best too, when she said to the on stage, she said, Mr. Seller, let's consider a concession to the buyer that can pay their buyer's agent, because that's a marketing cost that we can always negotiate into price. See, your net.
Restate that again. That's important.
Yeah. So Mr. Seller, I want you to understand that we can put a concession to the buyer that can pay the buyer's agent. And let's look at that as a marketing expense, and we can negotiate that into the price as we're in negotiations with an offer. Because what's really important, Mr. Seller, is your net at the bottom that you're comfortable walking with. So let's talk about that. And then you can back in the concession side, right? So if the seller is willing to net 400,000, well, then you put all the concessions on top of that, your commissions on top of that, and go, okay, well, here's the price that we need to sell at. Oh my gosh, yeah, then we can do that. See, once you can show them the numbers and you can explain those numbers to them, then they're okay. But you can't go and say, oh, I charge 6%. And by the way, you're going to do this and this and this. And all they're thinking of, all right, you're selling $1 million property and you're making 60 grand. No way. Okay, Mr. Seller, are you comfortable netting 900,000? Perfect. Okay. But here's all your expenses involved in selling this property. Easy. Explaining the NAR changes to a buyer. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation regarding the changes. May I explain what those changes mean and how they're going to impact you as a buyer or a seller? Commissions are still to be paid to both the selling agent and the buyer's agent. In the past, the commission was strictly handled by the seller's agent, and they were able to advertise the commission. Now that commission for the buying side is determined by the buyer's agent, you guys, in your buyer's agreement. See, that's it. So now, I don't know how many of you have ever had this, and if you've been in the business long enough or short enough, it doesn't even matter. Hey, Claire, I'm going to come and buy a house with you. And I noticed that the house I want to buy has a 3% commission because it's a new builder. I'll buy it through you if you give me 50% of it back. Rich, you've heard that before, right? And some of the people that ask you that, you look at them and go, how freaking dare you? This is what I do to support my family. And you're going to come and insult me that way? I always told people, hey, unfortunately, I don't do that. And here's why. This is what supports my business, my family. And if I do that, what makes you think I'm going to give you the total representation that you need and deserve? Well, I'll go to someone else. Fantastic. I can give you some names of those people that may consider that. And then I'm going to call them real quick and ask them for a referral if they buy through them. I don't know. Anyway, a selling agent may no longer advertise commissions in the multiple listing service. So these are already starting at 0 now. So when you start listing properties, hey, by the way, if you're a buyer's agent and you're really concerned about this, here's what I highly recommend. You ready? So you'll never have to worry about a buyer agency agreement. You ready? If you never want to have to do a buyer agency agreement, here's what you need to do to survive in real estate. Ready? Go get sellers. Go get sellers. How are you going to get sellers? For sale by owners, expireds, door knocking, open houses, door knocking, open houses, your sphere of influence, everyone. So I would be sending a text message to a ton of people in my phone that are my sphere of influence stating, hey, what are you hearing regarding the NAR lawsuit towards commissions as it may affect you in the near future when you're looking to buy or sell? And by doing that, you are opening up the conversation to get referrals, to work with that buyer, to work with that seller. And then does this mean I have to pay, I don't have to pay a commission? It's completely understandable that you may have heard that you don't have to pay a commission. However, that simply is not the case. May I explain? Bill has put this out for us. By the way, he gave this to us for free. He gave this to us to better prepare us on how we're having these conversations. The NAR ruling doesn't change what you pay. It changes how you are going to pay it, right? So instead of it being a commission, it's called a concession. Okay. Now there's going to be a lot of realtors out there that are going to dictate how much of a concession you get for your buyer because they know that it's probably going to be used towards commission. So here's what's going to happen in our industry. We're going to have to build great relationships with our competitors because, well, guess what? You as a listing agent will eventually be a buyer's agent. dealing with someone else on the other side, and you want to be able to have that kind of communication to negotiate directly to the listing agent and the seller. Okay, so remember, go out there and build awesome relationships. You can also think of this for a moment too. Look at your top 20% in your market. Who are the top 20% of the realtors in your market? So here in Daytona, 20% of the top agents is we have 2,000 agents. So that's a good amount of that's 400 agents. But here's the real numbers. The top 10%, are really only doing over $3 million in business. So if I'm in the Daytona market, I'm reaching out to the top 10% of the listing agents, by the way, and I'm going to call them or I'm going to text them and say, hey, Rich, you're one of the top agents in the industry. Hey, man, how are you preparing for NAR? I'd love to get coffee and pick your brain. How can I work with you when you're listing all these properties when I have a buyer? See, these are things that are not being said out there that you can better prepare for, because we got 6 weeks. We have less than 6 weeks. You got to do this in the next 3 to 4 weeks at max, because procrastination puts us into frustration. And by the time that time comes, you haven't done anything at all. So I would be reaching out to my top 5, 10% of listing agents, and I would be going, dude, hey, let's get coffee. What are you doing to prepare? And by the way, I work with a lot of buyers, and I want to show them your properties if we can have a relationship on an understanding of how we can communicate and negotiate with each other. Don't you think that'll go a long way? Okay. So as we go down, I don't want to sign a buyer's brokerage agreement. Fantastic. Have a nice day. See you later. Okay. Because here's the thing, guys. It is a law. It's a law. Period. If you don't, listen, Rich, you know what? I know you came into the open house and I know you have an interest in this home. We're going to do a single property buyer broker agreement just for this one property. Okay. No, I'm not signing it. I'm sorry. I can no longer discuss this with you. Okay. You have to understand that if they don't want to sign anything, number one, you either didn't deliver value. Number two, you didn't give them all, you didn't identify their needs. Okay. Or number three, they just don't trust you. Because if they trust you, they like you, and they can sense your confidence and your authenticity, they're gonna work with you. They will work with you. If they decide not to sign with you, that you're missing something. It's either going to be trust, value, or just lack of knowledge, right? They just don't think you understand everything. So if they don't sign a buyer's agreement and you still show them a home, I'd be curious on how they're going to proceed with actions towards agents that work with buyers that are not in a buyer's agreement. And I think every state might be different. I don't know.
Tom, I think what we're going to see is I think there's going to at some point have to be a non-exclusive buyer's agreement or a non-exclusive type of agreement where it's kind of like in Ohio, we have like the consumer guide to agency relationships, right? Where we have to disclose how agents work in the state. I think we're going to have something like that. And it's probably going to be a nationwide thing where it's a non-exclusive, like you can come look at the property. If you choose to buy it, this is what my fee is if I'm going to be your agent.
Yeah, we already have those forms, Rich. EXP has already got the form out. It's for a single property. Is that what you were talking about?
Well,
I put it in the chat, sorry.
I think the agreement that is in the chat is it's a for a buyer agency one, a single property. But I think what we're going to see is it is going to be more of a non-exclusive rather
gotcha.
than exclusive.
Gotcha. Yeah, and guys, understand too, you know what? If they don't want to work with you, do you really want to work with them? Right? And so it really comes down to they really got to be able to like you. But no one hires someone just because they like them. They hire them also in addition to that because of their knowledge and their value. So just because you may be newer or listen, I know a lot of seasoned agents who are petrified and are crying about this right now. When I'm like, guys, what's wrong with you? You run a team where you're selling 150 units a year. This is going to bring you more business. How does that work? Well, here's how it works. If your broker's not going to tell you, I'll sit with you. I'll go through it with you. And this is why it'll work better for you and your team. You got 15 buyer's agents who now don't have to worry about a buyer scrambling and going to 3 other agents looking for the same property and negotiating money back to themselves. So we will just go directly to the listing agent and save money. You know, you got to make sure that they understand by going directly to the listing agent, it could be detrimental to them. They're not saving money.
Yeah, can I pop in real quick because Rich covered this and
yes,
it's
he
awesome.
did.
So Rich covered some great, he covered 22 things that blew my mind. I called him afterwards. And what you just spoke about was the fact that as you're building your bigger teams and stuff like that, instead of having buyer leads, you're going for the seller leads. So Rich, can you talk to that real quick? Sorry, Tom,
No, that's,
too
listen,
major in order for us not to
this is
continue that conversation that Rich started us off on Friday, because it goes directly into and adds to, just saying.
no,
Yes.
love it.
So in the call it's in the GPS YouTube page if you want to go back and listen to it. But I shared 7 effects to listing agents, 10 effects to buyers agents, and 22 potential solutions to what Tom's kind of talking about here. And I think one thing that we are going to see is buyers thinking they're going to get a better deal if they go to the listing agent, right? And one of those things could be very similar to buying a car. And my wife's a lender, and she actually heard me say that last week and used it yesterday with a buyer she was in the process of pre-approving in North Carolina. And she goes, listen, like, you can go to the listing agent, but it's going to be like buying a car. Have you ever bought a car and actually thought when you were driving off the lot that you got a good deal? I don't know how many cars I've purchased in the last 10 years, but I've never felt like I got a good deal when I bought a car from a car dealership, right? Because that salesperson works for the dealer. The listing agent works for the seller, right? So that was one of the things that we had talked about.
Yeah. Well, and think about this too. If you're going to court for something, are you going to represent yourself, or are you going to let the other attorney who's representing the other side represent you too? Because he's being paid by the other person. He's going to slaughter you. Okay. It's game on. Now, Rich, I completely understand you want to go to the listing agent and save money. Can I give you a little bit of advice? There's a great real estate attorney. I think you need to probably consult with them first, because if you go directly to the listing agent, here's what could potentially happen.
Well, I think Tom, I think we got to dig down into the motivation of why do they think they're going to get a better deal, right? So we ask the question, and then we also have to make sure that we're asking the question again in a different way to see if we can get a different answer, right? Because most of the time, a buyer is going to give an objection the exact same way that we give an objection when we walk into Nordstrom's, Saks, Macy's, Dillard's. It doesn't matter, right? That sales rep, that person that works for the store, is going to come up to you and go, "How can I help you?" And we're instantly going to say, "I'm just looking." We're instantly going to throw up an objection. So if that objection happens to be, I'm going to go directly to the listing agent, awesome. That, you know, that a lot of people are taking that strategy. Why do you tell me more about why you think you're going to get a better deal going to the listing agent? Why don't you want representation? Oh, well, I don't want to pay for it. Oh, okay. So why do you think you're going to have to pay for it? Oh, because of the new rules. Oh, has anybody taken the time to share with you how that actually is going to affect the way that you're purchasing a property? No. Well, would it be in your best interest to take 15 minutes so I can show you exactly what changed and how the seller is it's still in the seller's best interest to offer a compensation. It's just changing how they're doing it. Can I share with you why it might be in your best interest to actually have somebody representing you? Oh, I'm not interested. Oh, I understand you're not interested. Have you ever bought a car at a car dealership? Yeah. Oh, of course. Have you ever driven off the dealership lot in your new car and felt good about the deal that you got and thought, oh, I pulled one over on them. I got a great deal. Or have you driven off the lot wondering if you left any money on the table?
100%, all the time.
Well, this is similar to that, just in, you know, we're talking about a house, not a car. If I can show you how you can get a better deal working with me and not have to pay for it, would you be interested in that? Great. Let's take 15 minutes. Let me show you how these changes are actually going to be a benefit for you when you have representation.
I love it. So what Rich did is he reaffirmed and he found out their needs and their motivation, but he started to build value. He was building value in his experience and knowledge in the industry and why he was looking out for their best interest. And this is what you need to be studying this stuff for.
And
Because
the other thing too, Tom, is if they're giving us objections, they're wanting us to validate what's going on in their mind.
correct,
They want us to validate why they should choose us to represent them.
100%.
It's not because they're saying no to us. It's they're putting and processing and analyzing in their brain. Why does this make sense? It's just like anything else. They're driving the bus, but we're the engine.
Yeah. It's so true. And like anything, it's like anything whatsoever. We're always questioning, did we leave money on the table? We get car insurance. Oh my gosh, can I get it cheaper somewhere else? Homeowners insurance, health insurance, everything that we're spending money on, we're questioning whether or not we got the right value, right? So we need good representation. We need someone to look out for our best interest. And
Olivia put a question.
what's that?
Olivia has a good question.
Is there another example besides the car dealer? Yeah.
I mean, I would say any big purchase that somebody's going to make where they don't have somebody assisting them in that, right? You know, you could use and guys probably feel this more than women. So I don't know if this correlates. But you know, if you ever bought an engagement ring or something, do you know if you're getting a good deal? Or do you just walk in the store and go, how much I want to buy? I need an engagement ring. How much is this going to cost me? And they're like, oh, it's going to cost you this. And like, I don't know how much a diamond is. I don't know how much a wedding band is, right? I like the car dealer analogy myself because most people have purchased a car and most people have driven off the lot going, I don't know if I got a good deal or not. So I use that analogy because whether you're leasing or buying, you've had to go through that experience and it's easily relatable. So I would ask yourself, Olivia, if I would go, you know, based on your market to your people and see if there's an analogy that you can use that could correlate better to your audience.
Yeah. And you know what?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Olivia, reach out to some of the buyers that you've worked with in the past and ask them to give you a good testimonial. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I understand completely how you feel, but here's what some of my past clients have felt and, you know, felt found. So there you go. We want to wait, costing more in commission. were you aware that NOS rulings takes effect July 1st? You know, Bill is preparing us with all these documents. Highly recommend, don't just print them out, put them aside. Don't just put them aside. Get in there, start looking at them and prepare yourself. I got one more that I want to share with you guys. And I know this is going to be awesome for you, because here's the thing. We always go, okay, so now I do a buyer's consultation, and then I'm afraid to have them sign something because they might tell me no. I'm good with no. When someone tells me no, I haven't earned either their trust or delivered enough value. But when I get a flat no after delivering value and trying to build trust, I'm okay. So no is not bad. No is okay. So what am I missing? What would stop you from signing this today? If you ask that question on for a seller and a buyer at a presentation, what would stop you from hiring me and signing this today? You will get honesty. Well, I don't know, I'm going to talk to other agents. Okay, outside of talking to other agents, what would stop you from hiring me today? Keep going deeper. Okay, fantastic. Why don't you sign and go ahead and interview 3 more agents? And if they're the perfect agent for you, let me know and we'll rip this up. Perfect. Let's sign the listing agreement. And if you interview another agent and they're a better fit, we'll rip this up. By the way, if you don't want to go through this process again and want to just hire me, I can call the other agents and let them know that they don't need to come to their appointment they have scheduled with you. So you don't have to go through this again. 5-part buyer consultation. And by the way, guys, this is appropriate for your sellers because you need your sellers to be educated, because guess what they're going to be doing when they sell? They're going to be buying. Appropriate preparation, the buyer questionnaire, explaining the process, educating on the market, and gain exclusivity. Appropriate preparation, whenever possible, have your appointment at the office. Most of us are EXP. You have Regis offices everywhere. You have Starbucks everywhere. You got title companies, you got lenders. Use their offices and stop making excuses and say you don't have an office. You have office space. You choose not to be open-minded about where it's at. Regis. We all get free Regis. Do you know that? Are you aware of that? REGUS. You can use any Regis office around the world for free. You can pay for a conference room or something like that, but their common space is free and it's beautiful. And they're in luxury buildings. Remember, to make me feel important. Again, making them feel important will also build trust. And by the way, talking to them about how great you are is not going to build trust. Asking them questions about their motivation will build trust. Give a tour of your office, but we don't have that there. The buyer questionnaire. Here's what we miss. We miss the questionnaire because they say, oh, we want a $500,000 home, a 4-bedroom, 3-bath pool home. And we're thinking, okay, $15,000 commission. Let's go look at these homes. No, go through the questionnaire. Why is that neighborhood important to you? I met a guy at the gym, by the way, guys, I meet everyone in the gym, right? I said, oh, I noticed I seen you walking with your wife and your newborn. He goes, yeah, we love it here. We moved from Georgia. I said, fantastic. You bought in Venetian Bay. You love it? He goes, we love it here. I said, oh my gosh, how long do you plan on living in the area? He goes, well, I'm with NASCAR and I'll be here for 10 years at least. I said, oh my gosh, have you visited the schools that your new daughter is going to be going to in the area? He goes, why? What are they? I said, they're the worst rated schools in the area. He goes, the realtor lied to me and said they were top rated schools. I said, no, they're not. If schools are important to you, let me give you, can I email you a list of the schools for your daughter? He bought in this neighborhood because that realtor told him that it was the best school district. By the way, guess what happened? We listed his home and he bought a home in the school district. So that realtor, what they didn't do is they did not do a good questionnaire. That individual bought a home based on what the home looked like, not about the community and what was important to him. All right. So the buyer questionnaire is super, super important. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss that step. And the process, explaining the process, understanding the current market. If you don't know the market, you better learn it quick. I can walk through this neighborhood and go, that's the Imperial model, that's the Valencia model, that's the Bellagio model, that's the, I know it's, oh, yeah, that's the 5-bedroom, 3-bath, the master's upstairs. Oh, that's the 4, 3.5 with the master's downstairs. Oh my gosh, that's a great floor plan. The owner's suite is the whole entire side of this house. By the way, those homes are selling between this and this. Know your market, study it, and gain exclusivity. We've taken time to fully understand your goals and needs, the entire home buying process, and the reality of today's market. I want to share with you exactly what we do to serve our clients and why so many home buyers choose us to represent them in the purchase of their home. This is guiding them to grab that pen and sign. Okay. So these forms are all the forms that you've got, and you have all the knowledge that you need to have over the consumer by just understanding these documents that we've shared with you today. By the way, you are way more informed about the buying, selling process than the consumer, regardless of the NAR lawsuit, regardless of what the news is saying, regardless of this. You are the expert. You are being paid to be the expert. Be the expert. Now stop procrastinating and put this together and prepare yourself for what you deserve. Otherwise, many people are going to be looking on the outside and going, all right, I got to go find a full-time job, 9 to 5, that I didn't want to have because I don't want to do the work. Do the work. The income will come. Do the work, do the preparation, and it will come to you. The toughest part of anything is doing the darn work. Whether it's our health and wellness, whether it's being in the gym with Lori Robles right there, right? And I know there's days where Lori does not want to go there, and it's exhausting, but she takes care of her kids, her husband, her home, her health, and some days it's just hard. Lizette, she's got 5 kids, she's a caregiver, and some days it's hard. But she gets out there and she does it. Get out there, prepare yourself, do the work, and you will have so many people flooding to you. So we got 10 minutes left. Ahas, anything that you learned from today. Did you get the documents? If you didn't, we'll put them on the GPS page in Workplace. In Workplace or on the Facebook, and we'll put the documents there as well if you're not within EXP. So, opened up to you. This is your time. Hey, Curtis. I don't
Before
recognize you.
Curtis gets started, Tom, hang on just a moment. Okay. Because this is what's interesting is that Tom just broke down how to implement the things that Rich talked about on Friday, just in a very, excuse the expression, kindergarten way. Okay. Tom broke it down in kindergarten. Rich gave it to us at high level leaders. So I just want to put that out there. So if you want a better, quicker explanation that will set you on fire, that backs up the step-by-steps of what Tom Martin just gave us today, go back and listen to Friday. I took 3 pages of notes. 3 pages of notes. So I'm just saying. Go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. We are in a market where we have to sharpen our skill set, and we got to get into training mode. We got to be looking at what classes, what documents, being very familiar with what we're going to be prepared for. Otherwise, this will hold us back from what we're in this business for, and that's to represent our customers and get to closings and reap the rewards financially. Did we answer all the questions in the chat that went through?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I know that there was one that somebody wanted me to explain a little bit better. I want to go back up to that one because I don't want to miss it. I think it was from Bill Bliss. Bill,
I
are
just
you-
want to say, look at George's photo real quick. He took a picture of himself on Zoom. It makes him look like he's here, but he's not.
yeah, and his
Clever,
eye, and
George,
if
very
you
clever.
look close, it freaks me out because it makes me think
Yeah.
that his eyes are moving.
I just noticed. I was like, he's not moving. It's fake.
Yes, I am.
Well,
Okay,
now you
so-
are. I saw you come off of that, but very clever. I liked it. All right, so I do have. I don't know that we have enough time, but I'll get into it. So, thanks for sharing what you did, Tom. I think it's a little premature that we talk about some of the buyer agency agreements because my belief is that they're going to change because it's going to be different for each state. Not to mention they're going to go and change the contracts as well. If you've paid attention over the last couple of days, they've now preliminarily approved the NAR ruling. And I would imagine, not that that has an impact on it, because I imagine all the attorneys for the state of Florida, we know that EXP's already worked on it, you know, and they came out with a buyer brokerage agreement of sorts. That's probably going to change again, right? So all that aside, while I think it's an important conversation, I think we may be jumping the gun a little bit. Now, what I'd like to know from the group, and you can put it in the chat, nobody has to come off of mute or anything like that. Are you getting these objections of, I don't want to sign a buyer brokerage agreement, or I don't want to pay you commission? Are they coming up right this very second? You can put yes or no in the chat. They are. So Claire's shaking her head yes. Nelson, are you shaking your head yes? Like anybody, like, is this happening? That people are saying, I don't want to pay you commission.
Yeah, and that was part of what Bill had asked because the last two listings that we took, the seller, you know, said, blah, 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 don't want to pay the commission. And I completely understand. And I had to go back and say, I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you're up to date on what the media is telling you. And I appreciate that. So here is where we are. The settlement has not been court approved. And as you know, courts are slow. They're going to change things. However, let's go ahead and prepare for that now. And here is where we can be of benefit with the maximum exposure to all of the buyers. Let's go ahead and look at your net cost, look at your net sheet, and this is how we can construct it to fit your net. And that's exactly what I did on both appointments. I put in the compensation, I put in what we were going to share, and I wrote into the listing agreement that the seller agrees to up to 3% of a concession. Now that could be a concession to a buy down, to a better builder agent who's going to bring an offer that has compensation or a commission built into it. So that way they're already prepared for what they're going to feel because the last two listings that we just took were in 90-day markets. We're going to hit that time frame. So if I'm not having that conversation with the sellers ahead of time and letting them know that their maximum exposure is important, then they're less likely to be in danger of missing out on buyers. Now, I'm just speaking to the listing side.
So the point being, it is coming up, and you were able to overcome it. And I know you, Claire, and I know you provide value at a high level. I think that we get confused when we talk about value. You know, I've seen all the lists go around. I've seen people post things on Facebook. Here's the 101 freaking things we do as a buyer's agent. Let me just tell you, that's like selling and trying to, you know, cram it down their throat. Like, hire me because I do all of these things. Don't do that. Do not do that. And so here would be my question, because I think, listen, sales is a skill and it can be learned and developed over time. And I think oftentimes we think we got to go in and we got to like sell ourselves to these people. And that's not true. And so I have a question for you, because I've written down some things and I think these are the things, this is my opinion. You can go with me or not go with me, but I'm going to tell you, I'll outsell you any day of the week with these things. Okay. So I've written down about 6 things, but I'd like to hear from you first. How do you think, in what ways can we demonstrate value? Now, some of those things actually came up here on this call, but I'd like to hear from you. What are these things that you think you can do in order to demonstrate value to the consumer? Because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, because if I was leading this, I would tell you to go do those things and work on those things right this second, because that will give you the confidence to slap that buyer brokerage agreement in front of them and close them every single time. So with that being said, you can come off mute, you can put it in the chat. I'm going to give you my 6 things, but I want to hear if you got them already. So what might that be? In what ways can we demonstrate value?
Informing the consumer.
Informing the consumer, how so? Tell me more.
Just letting our content be out there that we have done a disservice and not allowed them to know all of the things that we can provide for them for their needs.
Okay, I didn't have that written down, but I'll take it.
So Curtis, are you saying, what are we saying when we're in front of a buyer or
What I'm saying is, what I'm asking is, in what ways, as a buyer's agent or even an agent, because I think I never did like the separation. Like, we're all just agents. We're not a listing agent. We're not a buyer's agent. It's
Right.
just a hat we put on who's sitting in front of us, right? But anyway, as a buyer's agent, how do we demonstrate value? And this actually goes true for listings as well. But I'll just give them to you. The suspense, right? Whatever. So here's what you can do. In my personal opinion, this is what you can go work on going forward in order to then demonstrate your value without whipping out some list of 101 things we do as a buyer's agent. And then have the confidence in order to slap a buyer's agreement in front of them, and then use the objection handlers, because Bill Pipes is very intelligent. He put out some great objection handlers. I was reading through them. That'll give you some conversations to, to handle if somebody says, well, I don't want to sign that, or whatever the case may be. So number 1, I put down performing a proper buyer consultation. This was discussed. Needs analysis. Now, many of us, what are you looking for? Well, I want a 4-bedroom, 3-bath with the pool, blah, 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 and I want to spend this much, and blah, blah, blah. And then we ask the question, well, why do you want that? Well, I got 5 kids. And then we stop there. That's not what I'm talking about. We need to go deep, deep, deep with people to find out what their motivations are, what they're looking for, their must-haves, their must-not-haves, what they can do without, what they can, whatever, right? Like, you get that. Go deep, deep, deep with people. You go into an attorney's office, and they sit down with you. Before you even hire them, they ask you 100 gazillion questions to even see if they'll take your case. Right? Yes or no? Yes, Claire's saying yes. We need to do that same thing. That same thing. We need to do that same thing. Number 2, we got to be a market expert in our market on all things. Tom addressed that, but I'm saying a legit expert. You got to know all the things, what's selling, what's not selling, what's the attrition, how many listings, what's the, sold price to list, like all the things. Are we trending up? Are we trending down? Days on market, this, that, price per, all of it. You got to know all of it, which means you got to look at it every day in your market, every single day, every day. You have to have top-notch vendor partners. Top-notch. Top-notch.
Is that number 3?
Well, I don't care what order you put it in. You can put it in whatever you order. Doesn't matter. But the best of the best of the best that got your back 100% of the time. That provide the top-level service. That answer the phone, communication, all the things. Top-notch, the best vendors, period. Seriously. You got to have the Ritz-Carlton experience. Some of you guys, I don't know if you ever stay at the Ritz or not. The Ritz is incredible, right? You pay for what you get. But have you ever noticed they know your name? Everybody in the place knows your name, and they anticipate your needs. You know why? I attended a Ritz-Carlton training thing, and they told us like the insider secrets on how they do it all. And when somebody registers and comes, they like watch you, learn about you, and they take notes and they put them in a computer system so that they can anticipate your needs. Do you know that that information is then shared with every other Ritz-Carlton throughout the country, so that if you go to another Ritz in another city, they already know all your things? And I'm talking about, let's say you ordered strawberries. And this is actually a true story somebody shared with me. They ordered strawberries for some reason from the, the whatever restaurant room service or whatever. The next time they went to the Ritz-Carlton, guess what was there for them waiting in their room? Strawberries. They anticipated their needs. That sort of white glove service for your client you got to do. Now, I know you're going to tell me, I always answer my phone. I do all these things. I get it. That's cool. I'm talking the next level is what I'm talking. So white glove service, anticipating needs, all of those types of things. Negotiation skills. Because that's why they're hiring you, right? To negotiate. And I heard you guys talk about different scripts and things of that nature and so on and so forth. Cool. Sure, there's 100 different ways, and somebody will come up with another cool way to show your negotiation skills. That's a note. If you're not really good at negotiation, maybe go take one of those negotiation classes. I think NAR and all them, they've got, certifications for it and whatever else. I might invest in it. It's probably on $150 because then I could share it with people. Hey, listen, certified negotiation expert in friggin' real estate, right?
Rich Casto does it for $49 right now, by the way.
Okay.
There you go.
This on the web for fine
Siri's talking to me.
expert in real estate.
Sorry. She was looking for it for me. That was great. She was looking for a class I could join. Let me see. I got that. Market expert. Oh, communication. Now we all say, oh, I'm so good at it, blah, blah, blah. I answer my phone. I'm 24/7, all that shit. I think it goes deeper than that. I think it goes with follow-up. I think it goes with conveying that, asking them how they'd like to be best communicated with, and so on and so forth. The other thing is I don't know that we're all as amazing with our follow-up as we think that we are. So I don't know, but communication skills, and maybe there's a class for that too. That would be one. And then the other one I wrote down was setting expectations. And I don't know that we do that kind of thing either, which is here's what happens next. How, you know what I'm saying? And scheduling the next appointment or scheduling the next conversation or whatever the case may be. This is all when I first meet them. And after I've done all of these things, signing a buyer brokerage agreement, it's like a no-brainer. Like a no-brainer, a zero-brainer. Piece of cake. Why wouldn't I hire this guy? People are looking for three things. You've probably heard it before. When they meet you, there's three questions that are going through their mind. 3, do I like you? Do I trust you? And can you help me? That's what's going through their mind. That's what you have to overcome. You answer those 3 questions in the conversation that you're having with them by being a market expert, all these things that I just wrote down. You're going to have no problem getting a buyer brokerage agreement signed. None. Zero, zilch, nada. I'll hire you all day long. All day long. Anybody have any? That's what I put down. Claire, anybody got any questions?
I'd say
So
one of the
Angela
things-
put into the chat, sorry, Bill, Angela put into the chat, who was the name of that trainer. Let me just let you know that EXP sent us out in this past month a certification class for a certified real estate negotiator. And that class is run by Rich Casto's coaching group. I took Kren a long time ago. Okay, now it's not a NAR designation. However, it is a certification.
There you go. Sounds good to me. Do we ever ask a lawyer which law school did you actually go to? Or a doctor? Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I think one of the things also, along with setting expectations is, there are a lot of objections going into it. And the top thing in sales is to handle the objections before they come up. It needs to be part of your presentation. You know what they're going to say. You know what their pain points are, the majority of them, especially the deep diving into, the needs analysis and asking a bunch of questions. That's going to create some other things, but you're going to be able to develop that like you, trust you aspect is when you handle the objections before they're brought up, you're covering a lot of information.
Sure. Sure.
Creating
There was a
credibility.
script that I think should be used. It's, and Claire, you know this one from back in the day, and some of you guys might too. It's when you walk into a listing appointment and you say, this is my goal for the day. So you're already setting up the expectations. So thanks for meeting with me. Here's my goal: to explain the process, see if we're a good fit, and answer any questions you might have. How's that sound? Do we have anything else we need to go over? And so you're throwing it out there that you're going to give them the opportunity to ask questions. And quite honestly, what you're doing right then and there is you're flushing out the objections up front. When you say, what questions might you have? Because that's what's going to be the objections. Is how much do you charge? Is this what? Those are great. And you just, okay, what else would you like to ask? And what else would you like to ask? And what else would you like? Nope, that's it. That's all I need. And they've just given you the objections. You handle them and you move forward. It's
And
really that
also,
simple.
yeah, exactly, Curtis. And if you're doing a strong listing presentation with a pre-listing interview and you have that sheet with you, by the time you get to that listing appointment, basically all you're doing is looking at the property and getting everything signed by price and commission. That's it. It's a 30 to 45-minute listing when you get there. It's what you do prior to, it's setting that expectation and having those questions and digging deep, like what Curtis said, that leads us to better serve our people. Because by that point, we already know what disc profiles of the people that are going to be sitting in front of us are. We already know if they've looked at that presentation package, because you better be putting a little special sticky note that is somewhere that says, did you get my special message? Okay,
So,
these are all things that you can do in preemptive, making sure that once you get in front of them, they've already seen through your actions and performance that you are going to get the listing.
so and I was just thinking about that. What could be the script up front before, as you're meeting with a buyer's agent? So Claire, thank you so much for meeting with me or talking to me over the phone or whatever the case may be. Hey, listen, in order for me to best help you and understand what you're looking for, I have a series of questions I'd love to ask you. Then what I'd like to do is see if we're a great fit for one another. And of course, answer any questions you might have. How does that sound? I just set you up. I just set you up and told you I'm going to ask you a truckload of questions. So when I asked the question, the other day, I called a potential listing appointment for my wife, and I called the lady, and she was an expired listing, and she says, I said, so you expired, you want to get relisted? She said, yeah. I said, when you do sell, where are you moving to? She goes, oh, I don't know why that's important for you to know. And I just started laughing, and I was like, she didn't want to answer me. She got all shitty with me. I'll say shitty, even though we're being recorded. And I was like, well, in order for me to best understand and to help you, I need to understand more about you and your motivations and where you're moving to and all these things. Oh, okay. But that's going the extra route because I needed to know, because here's the thing. Just to let you know, she was overpriced. She bought another house in the area. She needs to sell. She needs to move. So me knowing that information, when we get to the price conversation, going to be way easier. Going to be way easier. So anyway, that's what I was talking about. I don't know if that helps you guys. I just can never get on a call and sit here in silence, especially when I think I have 2 cents to say. But I'm telling you, I think we focus too much on, and again, social media, everybody's all woo, and they're running around, and that's why those 101 lists come out and all this other bullshit. And everybody's like, we do all these things. Nobody cares. No one cares. No one cares. Do not pull that list out. Don't post it on social media. Don't email it out to your database. Please don't. Please don't. Nobody cares. Show your value by being a market expert, dealing with top-notch vendors, doing an incredible needs analysis, and the other things that I mentioned, being a negotiation expert. Now, you could put that on social media. I'm a negotiation expert. I am an accredited buyer representative. That I would put on social media.
Yeah,
So
and
then
that was
when it
one
comes-
of the things Gina just dropped to me, is the fact of all of her credentials and her designations. Okay, because there's a huge difference between certifications and designations. Let's get that
Yeah.
straight. Okay,
Yeah.
you can be certified in a lot of shit, and you can be designated in a lot of shit, and you've got 50 million acronyms behind your name. What that does for you as an agent, whether you want to post all those acronyms or not, is this: you are taking control of your business. You are educating yourself in the places where you need to build your business better. Thank you.
Yeah.
we've got to be very careful about talking about ourselves. I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever, etc. I mean, okay, accredited buyer's representative. Many of us have been in this business 20 years. Do I need accredited buyers? That's part of my freaking job. Do I need to be an expert listing agent or whatever that acronym is? The dots behind the letters behind my name, but the one I'm the most proud of and the one that George really told me to go out and get was the negotiation expert one. And I've actually said, I don't have a bunch of titles and a bunch of acronyms across the bottom of my name, but the one I'm the most proud of and the one that serves my clients the most is I know how to negotiate for my clients. My money, your money is my money. I am not interested in you losing it. That's how I look at it. Anyway, that's one of the things
Sure.
you talk about one thing, you talk about it with conviction, and you're done. But if you're like, oh, I'm this and I'm that, and I got the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, and I'm just, your people going to be like, I'm done. This person's just talking about themselves. We got to watch out about walking in with ego and I'm this.
Oh, I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. And any of the things that I shared with you about those 6 things had nothing to do with you.
100%.
They were all about the consumer.
100%.
So, here's the thing. They may, what's great about having a credit buyer representative, why should I hire you? So they ask the question, right? Like, because you give them the opportunity to say, well, I'm going to answer any questions you might have. Well, if they get into, it could just be one direction you go. Why should I hire you? Well, you know what? That's a great question. I'm so glad you've asked. I've invested in myself as a real estate professional. I am, in fact, a certified negotiation expert as well as an accredited buyer representative. And that's all I'd probably say.
Yeah, boom.
And they go, oh, that's pretty good. So that would be the way that I would probably use it. The other way I'd probably use it is through social media, marketing and stuff like that. Hey, listen, so proud, blah, 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 whatever. Wouldn't say hire me or whatever, but
yeah.
Anyway, just a thought. All right, that's my 2 cents. I'm sorry, I made you guys go over. It's 9:44, but I
Curtis, thank
can't
you.
not talk.
What makes you a great coach? Because you ask deeper questions, which is awesome.
There's
How many of
George.
y'all got a aha? Yeah, he did. He popped back on because he hasn't cut us off yet because he's the host. If he'd have stopped, then we'd all been gone in the middle of you speaking, and that would not have been good because you delivered so much value, Curtis. Thank you.
He knows I'd call him and harass him.
Yep. Chris is laughing too. He doesn't have his mic on, but all of us. So because I actually wrote down 7 points instead of 6, Curtis. So, you're awesome and we appreciate you. Thank you. We know that we ran over. However, this was huge value. And that is the reason why that we do these black belt masterminds is we start and add to. So
Well, there might be more. I just think that the opportunity is get better in all these sections, and then there's less focus on this whole buyer broke. That part just becomes easy.
and if you
Just
don't know
becomes
how to
easy.
identify, and if you don't know how to identify your strengths and weaknesses as seasoned agents right now, you know what? You've got Coach Curtis and myself on this call right now. And if you need to hear from a coach, we are here for you to help you attain your goals. This is what we do for all of our agents that are our clients in our coaching. Okay. So you may want to look at the fact that moving forward, you need to have someone who is keeping you on task. We have consultation times. Look us up. Just saying.
George, you came off mute. You got 2 cents. I gotta go.
Bye.
Nope. Bye.
Oh, he's frozen. His mouth did move. All right, see you. Bye.
Bye.
Working on a project. All right, folks. Thank you so much. These are all recorded in the GPS Global Partners workplace group, as well as you'll find it in the YouTube channel, which is in the link. And they're awesome stuff. If you want to see the call Claire was speaking about last Friday that Rich was going through, well, two things. First off, be on the call tomorrow with Rich Gannon leading the call. It will be phenomenal. You get the text message in the morning. And last Friday's call by date is sorted in the workplace as well. Can't miss it. Get some work done. Let's go out and make a difference and tell people you love them. Tell them they're important. That's what changes people's lives. It'll make their day better and yours as well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. And I didn't realize I was unfrozen. So go out, be safe, and knock them dead. Talk to you soon.